Hello, welcome to Matric Second Chance. My name is Peter Glover and I will be your teacher in the physical sciences. Now before we start, I just want to say that I really do applaud your decision to have a second chance at your matric. Whether you failed the first time, whether you're redoing to try and improve your marks, it's a wonderful, bold step that you have taken. Having taken it, there are certain things that you're going to have to do. I know how much is in this course. And I want to tell you now that you can't do things the way you did them before, because then you're going to get the same result as you did before. You have to go into this and make it a cause that's going to take you through 6 months or a year, and you've got to stick to it, and you've got to be consistent, and you know, you've even got to change your habits. If you have a very good social life at the moment, you're going to have to put that on the back burner for a little. And if your friends don't understand, they're not really your friends. Let's have a look at some detail. First of all, independent study. What you're doing, you're working more or less on your own. It takes time, and you have to make time in order to do things differently. It takes a great deal of self-discipline. You are going to have to develop routines and you're going to have to stick with them. And you have perhaps going to have to rethink your old study habits and change to something better. I hope that the course that we have put together is going to lead you along and help you to make those changes and to develop useful study habits. But really, it comes from you. Now, this is a comprehensive course. I always say that when you go into an exam, you're taking the examiners on. It's a campaign. You don't leave anything to chance. You have to be prepared for all the tricks and the curveballs that those examiners can throw at you. And physical science in a way is not like other subjects. And I'll tell you why. You can do as many problems as you like on the Doppler effect or photoelectric effect or what it is. The examiner can still throw you a little curveball, and you know what? If you don't understand the background, if you don't understand what Doppler is all about or photoelectric effect is all about, then that little curveball can throw you and deny you marks which you might otherwise have got. So yes, do all of the extra work and the extra examples, but try and get to grips with the concept, understand it. I've talked about being a teacher. Well, in fact, we're also like a coach. You're going to go and play a game against the examiner. In the big match, you're the player. I'm the coach. When you go onto the field to play the match, I'm not there. It's you and the examiner alone. So I'll do what I can to help you prepare, but in the end, it's up to you. What does a coach do? Perhaps, in this case, points you to where knowledge can be found, gives you some background to the knowledge that will help you understand better. Perhaps I can dish out a small hint or an insight here or there. You pay attention to that. It's not just enough to remember that. You've got to go out and use that insight to make the knowledge your own. So when you go onto that field, you go into the exams, I stay on the sidelines. You're on your own. And all that we can hope is that whatever I could do to prepare you well, I have done. Always in the back of the mind, though, just remember that when you go into a contest, all right, I stay on the sidelines, but you go into a contest better prepared if you've done that sort of thing before. And this is going to happen. You're going to be writing trial exams. We'll get into that a little bit later and talk about the details there. But you don't go into a big match without having got at least a feel of what it's going to be out there on the field, in the exam room in this case. This is a kind of a test for me too, but it's a test of a slightly different kind because I'm not in there at the chalk face when it comes to the big match. Now let's talk about the course. It's a pretty comprehensive course. It's exhaustive. And you may even be exhausted when you finish doing it. But I think if you throw yourself in with real enthusiasm, you're going to enjoy it. First of all, we're going to start with a baseline diagnostic test that I will talk about. The course is modular. We've got module 1 for the physics, module 2 for the chemistry. We're going to do some trial exams for both papers 1 and 2, and in fact there are 2 trial exams. So you'll have plenty of time to experience what it's like to be in an exam, in case you've forgotten. And then finally, there are going to be some summative diagnostic tests just to fine-tune, maybe go back, find out that there are 1 or 2 things that you don't quite have a grip on and that you need to go back and look at, and that's the purpose of this final diagnostic test. Now let's go right back to the beginning. Let's start talking about the baseline diagnostic test. This baseline test is meant to analyze your content knowledge, and obviously it's not a complete comprehensive exam. It's just a few questions here and there, but we'll get an idea, you'll get an idea of where it is you really have to focus your attention hard and where maybe you are on the way already because you kind of understand things already. It's meant to give you that sort of knowledge, your strengths and your weaknesses. Where do you stand? It's a single test. There will be 25 questions on physics, 25 questions on chemistry. They're all multiple choice, and you're actually going to do it online. So you will sit there and you will go through each question and you'll choose A, B, C, or D, and you'll make the right mark, point at the right place, fill in the answer, do the 25 questions for the physics, do the 25 for the chemistry, and then you press the button that says submit. That's the end. You don't get a chance to go back. Those are the answers that will be marked. And then you, of course, will get feedback, which tells you where you're strong, where you're weak. The course outlined now in more detail. There are 2 modules. It's a modular course. Module 1 is for physics. Module 2 is for chemistry. Each module has 10 sessions, session 1 to session 10 for module 1, physics, session 1 to session 10 for module 2, chemistry. The structure of the course is based strictly on the CAPS document, which is really the syllabus or the curriculum for physical sciences in our schools. There will also be some background revision that you will do. One of those, the first of those sessions is always going to be just picking up some of those concepts from grade 10 and grade 11, which you aren't examined on directly, but they're in all of the questions that you're going to be asked. Talk about the mole concept or scalars and vectors and things like that. You might even be asked a multiple choice question, which are scalars, which are vectors. But you've got to know something about working with vectors and vector quantities and how to add them and that sort of thing. So there's a little bit of revision, but basically there is a 10-session program on physics, a 10-session program on chemistry.